Welcome everybody to game number one of Team Rayzor versus Team Shed in AusDraft 2.0. Starting over here on the right hand side, we have Vamia playing as the Vikings on Golden Lakes. Okay, not what I was expecting in the slightest. And then we have Rayzor playing as the Poles in the pocket. The other pocket, we have the Real Hot Suit playing as the Huns. And then finally we have Top Geary as the Dravinians. So you're doubling up on the two civs that have dock bonuses, which is it's pretty insane to be honest. Over to the other side though, we've got Arcast playing in the grey as the Japanese, with Shed as his pocket as Lithuanians. One of the best Golden Lakes civs in the game, because you're able to build your dock so incredibly early. You should have at least a 1 to 2 fish lead over most other players in the game. The other pocket, we have Broad 10 playing here as the Franks, and then finally we have Frederick Chopin as the Mayans. I think I've only got 2 of these civs correct. Maybe, no, I got 3 of these is correct. Japanese, Lithuanians, and Dravidians. Everything else is just completely wrong. So, yeah, that is... should change my vote, yeah. It's, not, not a good sign for my civ predictions for this series. I mean, I guess anybody could have just cheated as well and, looked at what the civs were that were played and then done the predictions. But, whoops. Okay, so the main thing that we need to look out for in Golden Lakes games like this, where there are no deer to push, so the scouts should be actively trying to deny docks. If you're able to gank to your scouts and kill the villager that's building a dock for any of the flanks, you essentially give yourself a 70+% win percentage on the spot. Because as soon as your first dock is denied, you end up floating 300 wooden Dark Age with no way to spend it. You can't click up to Feudal Age because there's no deer to push, so unless you go build a really late mill, which takes a ton of time to pay off, you can always send another villager to rebuild the dock, but that just takes a while, and... Oh, he's gonna steal a sheep. The villager is coming forwards with Loom, which is the sensible thing to do. Over on this side, very safe dock going out for Geary. Is Grey gonna go for a forward dock, is the question. I would assume so with his position. But this is why I think Vikings are a silly, silly pick for Golden Lakes, because you can't contest the pond at all. You can't make fire ships. You can't make... Well, I guess you can make demos. You can make galleys and demos. But you should just lose versus any half-decent, competent flank who knows how to play a hybrid build and is able to make their own fire ships. I also don't particularly like that neither of the flanks are walling in the dockville, because this could still be denied, right? If yellow brings his scout down here, or green, potentially, I know green gets the wall, and you can go back to blue, right? You've seen this villager sitting here. Rover about to look like a real hater when longboats are in the pond. I mean, if you're able to make longboats... Oh, no, broad. Oh, no. Oh, and the villager even walks out so that both the scouts can attack. Is he going to get the quick walls? Oh, God Gamer. He saves the villager, but the problem is that he doesn't finish the dock. Oh, that is just... Yeah, and like it's even worse when it affects the pocket, because the pocket wants to be making food units in Feudal Age. You can't afford to make scouts if you've got all this wood in the bank. Green, he's got 216 wood in the bank because he can't make fish at the moment. And here with like the 2 scouts, they can still kill this eagle. Because where is Green Scout right now? Over here. Why is he back here? What's he doing at the back of the map? He should have been protecting his dockville. And now blue is going to lose his eagle. Oh, yellow saves the scout as well. Oh, and he even went for the stock with the loom. Oh. And you see Shed is already on the way up to Feudal Age with the Lithuanians. With 4 fish out already. Every other player has 1 or 2 only. You see the power of the Lithuanians, and then you see the power of denying a dock. Okay, he's doing Loom because he's going to send another villager, I guess? No, I don't see another villager. And Loom's going to give this single vill like 1 extra HP. So it's not really going to be a useful amount to try to actually force this dock up. And if these scouts are paying attention, they can probably still 2v1 green scout. Right, yellow just needs to make sure that his scout gets a hit in. Or I guess he can just let red get a free hit like that. But now that they're leaving, the villager can go and finish the dock. Go. Build the dock, my man. But yeah, this game is essentially over already, because Brod has nothing. Rayzor should just dominate this side by a significantly ginormous margin. See, on the top side, yeah, like both the contested ponds should end up just being a water fight with fires versus fires. We see no sign of a barracks from either player. Probably going to see a second dock, I would hope. Broad hasn't clicked. Yeah, exactly. Like that's just the issue of the pond being delayed, because there's no deer to take. So, as soon as you miss, 100 food that your fish and your villager on the pond is going to gather, you just can't click up, because there's no alternate food source. Oh, and the villager gets killed as well. Oh! Oh, Arcas, thank you for the raid. This is a very unfortunate time to join, because, we are casting the wrecks of your set from yesterday, and, your pocket has just been absolutely destroyed, unfortunately. Oh, wait, that's not your pocket. Your pocket's on the other side. Never mind. You and Shed are in a good position, but the other side of your team is looking pretty potato, if I'm being honest. Red's making a galley. Blue's not making any fires. I don't like that. And we're seeing... What? Why are you going for galleys to contest the ponds? That's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to make fires. But Gray's not even bothering. He's only going for a single dock. Which means, yeah, we're going straight into 2 ranges. This is not how you're supposed to play Golden Lakes or Four Lakes. We're seeing the meta develop, where it's just big stone walls through the middle of the map to deny any sneaky raids or shenanigans like that. I don't know if Fred's going for the correct walls, though. This is a really difficult wall to defend. We're only being palisades, only a single layer of palisades, and it's closer to Red's base than it is to his own. Definitely not the ideal situation. And it seems that Red is going to win the pond with 1 dock galleys. What is going on? Why? You just needed to make a single fire ship between either of you and you would be fine. There's clearly some planning or comms issues, I think. Oh, and yeah, we see the early scouts from Rayzor getting in, not Rayzor, sorry, from Shed. The power of the Lithuanians getting in nice and early, getting some raids in on Top Geary. But I think in reality, the left side for Team Rayzor just needs to hold as well as they can, and Rayzor and Vamir should just absolutely dominate against poor Frederick. Which team was it that was just abandoning Water and Fuel Age intentionally? I'm pretty sure that was Rayzor's team. Because they picked... But... Picking Vikings indicates that you're just going to throw the ponds. Because you can never contest it against a proper Fire Galley play. But I'm spending too much time looking at that. There's other things to go on. And we see just the huge scout numbers. 7 scouts already from Shed. The other pockets, they've got 7 between them. So he's doing his best to carry Brod at the moment. But eventually, Rayzor and Hot Soup should just be able to outmass him and clean up his scouts. How many stables is he on? He's only got the 1 stable. He does have the blacksmith, though. No upgrades just yet. So, we see the blacksmith coming in for Rayzor as well. We do see the Folwark Farms, which is definitely a nice bonus. We see double dock fish production from both the pockets back here, as you would expect. We see 3 docks from Shed. Oh boy. I heard Vikings was pretty good on this map. Char, don't troll me like that. My loathing for Vikings is becoming well known, it seems. They've won 2 ponds making galleys. I just can't get over this. It doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, having 3 ponds versus 1 is almost a guaranteed win, I would say. The issue is that Rayzor is busy defending his base from Shed, which is giving Frederick and Brod a little bit of a chance over here. But like, there's the investment into farms already Right, you see, you spent so much less wood on farms, which you can instead spend into more fishing ships that are just better at this stage of the game. Robo Cry yeah. Don't Vikings have a 100% win rate on this map? Hell no, they don't. Actually, oh, true, we did lose to Vikings, didn't we? Yeah, fuck. But we did win the pond against the Viking player, okay? Okay, it's not... it's not like that, okay? We didn't lose to a single Doc Galley production, okay? Alright, we see the Castle Age, though, coming in from Shed. Vamir, though, not that far behind. Rayzor, also pretty close. He just needs a little bit of more gold income. And it seems like they have almost completed the stone walls. There's a couple of grey arches here. But as soon as they finish this wall... Whoa, I did that move over there. And I guess as long as red doesn't get wrecked by this overchop, I guess this side's completely open as well. Never mind, they're somewhat almost fully walled. Okay, we've noticed the overchop though. And this is what I was saying, like, these walls from Fred are just so incredibly useless, you're never going to defend them. You're just wasting villager time and wood trying to go down here. Which I like knowing about your cute puppy. I mean, sure, I don't really see how it's relevant to a tournament casting, but if you wanna talk about that, we could do that at some point. Blue does have pretty solid archer numbers, I must say. But I think Vamir should just know, hey, I'm up to Castle Age. They're probably not, because they don't have a pond. I need to back up and just wait for my crossbow upgrade. Check Geary's brace. Geary's... Oh. Shed Scouts, they got stuck a little bit, but they're back. Are they going to force the wall up? We've got the boxing gloves on. I trust in the Geary. He's going to finish the walls before the knights get here. He's gonna finish the wall before the knights get there. He's gonna finish... Oh, he didn't finish the walls. Oh, that is unfortunate. Yeah, so this is just like the final Arabia game that we did just cast between Chris and Noz, where we have a strong side and a weak side for each team. And it's just a question of which strong side is stronger, and how hard can they, push forwards and continue killing. Infantry armor definitely seems like a misclick for Hot Soup. No, well, he's built a second barracks, and he's making a ton of spearmen. Oh, that's because he's still in Feudal Age. Oh, holy shit. Okay, that's why he's making a lot of spearmen. I don't know if that's a good idea. Because spearmen are just going to get wrecked even by 10 archers. And they are on their way up to Castle Age. I'm so confused. I'm confused about who is actually winning this game. This tower is probably not going to go up either. Geary is getting absolutely demolished on this side. But over here, we see the crossbows and the light cav from Rayzor pushing forwards. I think Rayzor needs to send all of his new knights over here to try to save purple. Because if purple dies, he's going to die just behind this. We do see huge fish eco, though, for Mr. Purple. He hasn't made any fish traps, though, which he's going to need to start to transition into in the near future. I'm not sure what the second dock is doing. That still hasn't been built after however long it's been. But I think if Rayzor's going to keep fighting here, he and Vamir need to push incredibly hard through Brod's base and try to hit Shed. But Shed's already got 3 TCs starting to roll. He's got an entire pond to himself, by the way, which means his fish is going to be incredibly efficient. And then, yeah, we just see Knights just diving straight for Rayzor. He's going for 1 TC in the middle, at the top of the hill for one of the golds, and then 1 TC at home to secure a gold stone in a wood line. But, he doesn't have enough Knights right at this moment. He's got 1 Knight, he's about to have 4. I guess all of these villas need to run to the TC, but he's a little bit busy at the moment trying to herd Vamir's crossbows in the correct direction, it seems. Losing a couple of villas and some Knights at home. Purple is on the way up to Castle Age, as is Geary, but Geary's only got 21 vills. Make it 20 vills. Make it 19 vills? Oh, that is unfortunate. Well, he has 19 vills, but he has 20 fish. He has more fish than villagers, so he can always make elephant archers, I guess. Because he's got basically nobody on wood at the moment. 19 bills on gold for 0 TC full stable production. I mean, the problem is that he's a flank. He's not going to make he's not going to make the make knights from flank, especially as Dravidians. Dravidians have absolute dogshit knights. Okay, we do see that Vamia and Rayzor are starting to push towards Brod's base, but they're not doing it fast enough, because Shed just has big knight numbers back at home that are going to swing over this way soon to help clean up. All the while, he has dealt, you know, oh, the timing. Look at the crossbows coming in from Arcast, doing his bit, helping distract Rayzor, disrupt his economy, pushing around. Oh, the knights are back from Shed as well. Thank you for the bits, Humble Pie. Dravidians have non-existent knights. You mean battle elephants? I mean, he could make battle elephants. I think elephant archers would be the better call, to be honest. I'm not saying that they're good, but I think they would be better. He's going for a TC. I guess he has a ton of food. He has 1,000 food, so making a TC makes sense. Back here, they still haven't been cleaned up yet. It seems like Shed's just patiently waiting, biding his time until he's got enough knights. All the while, Rayzor is continuing to take a sausage at home. He's going for a castle. He wants to get those cheaper knights at some point from Slasher privileges. Elephants are just obese knights. I mean, I guess that's one way of looking at it. But yeah, just the mass knight numbers here are going to clean up on this side. Frederick is going for the stone wall. I much prefer this stone wall instead of just the palisade wall that he had previously. But, it's looking like Shed's team is actually in a really, really powerful position right now. I mean, they are slightly behind in bills, but they have such a huge army lead at this point. I would very much expect Shed to be moving towards the middle with the TC very, very shortly. He's also got a monastery. He's going for the corner relics as the Lithuanians. He probably needs to get the 2 middle ones at some point. But yeah, Humble Pie, by the way, you played really well in the previous set. We just cast Chris vs. Noz. You did a pretty good job there. Let me just go quickly check something. Oh, Imperial Age though, coming in from Shed. This is it's gonna be scary getting Imp. The problem is that he's gonna run out of gold pretty soon from his at-home base. But yeah, he does have villagers coming forwards now, and he has big knight numbers, soon to be Cavalier. He's still waiting for him to pick up that relic. Down on this side, oh, look at this from blue. It's trying to kill off some of the fishing ships with the crossbows, but there are galleys here to defend. Orange, on the way up to Imp, I guess he did have 1,000 food and nothing else to do with it. I don't know if Imp is the correct call, simply because what's he going to produce? He has so little eco, he can't really do anything with Imperial Age, is the issue. We see Shed's going for a 4-ville castle in the middle. I wonder if we saw Slasher privileges coming in, because I think Rayzor has to just commit to Castle Age Knights at this point. And their goal should just be to secure as much of the middle as possible, keep them off gold, and try to outlast the upcoming push. Just the army diff is just absolutely insane at this point. Imp into Bracer. Imp into Bracer for the single crossbow that he has. Oh yeah, there we see the privileges starting to be researched. We do have 3 stables and 3 TCs at home, and the 4th TC here as well. Is Shed just waiting for a knight to open this gate? Oh, don't do it, Hope. Don't do it, Hot Soup. Oh, yep, Rayzor's a smart guy. He locked the gate, he recognized what was going on. He is losing a couple of villas to these crossbows that are roaming around. But here we see, just around the world, we've got a rainbow coming into the outside of Rayzor's base. The only thing that would complete it would be a couple of units from Frederick Chopin. But he doesn't really have very much army to begin with. He's got just sitting in the middle, babysitting some TCs that are being built. And this gate is very, very quickly going to fall down. We have both of the flanks on the way up to Imp. The problem with Imp times for the flanks is you tend to want to be the first one to Imp. because Arbs, they've got a very specific power timing. As soon as you get Paladin with +4 armor, you don't really care about Arbs anymore because you just have so much Pierce armor. Which Shed is, you know, looking like he's going to head towards pretty soon. He might not be doing straight Paladin, he might just stick with Cavalier for a while. But even so, having the 6 Pierce armor is enough a lot of the time to take fights, especially because, right, we're imp into a single crossbow, and Red doesn't have a huge army number at this point in time. So really, this is just Shed by himself, just carrying. Well, it's not by himself. The rest of his team is contributing, but he is the driving force of this comeback right here. He is the only player on his team that still has a pond. He still hasn't picked up this relic. And we see Trebs now starting to come up in the middle of the map to push back and get Rayzor off of his gold. Shed really stays on cap for too long. I would agree, but considering his eco balance at the moment, he might just consider sticking on Cavalier. Because... and just, you know, try to force them off the gold. Because at this stage of the game, everybody... should be running basically out of gold at home, right? Rayzor's got... he's actually got quite a lot of gold there, to be honest, but he did have an early TC in the middle. Red has... oh, I can't even click on it. A tiny amount of gold up there, I think. Or are those stone miners? No, they are gold miners. There's a little bit of gold there that Red's taking. Purple is close to ours as well. Orange has a decent amount, but that's because he's just been dead for this whole game, basically. We're starting to see more crossbows from him, but it's really tiny amounts. Yeah, I think, honestly, just sticking Cavalier and getting a couple more Trebs, and then just taking control of the top of his hill will be enough to win the game. 4 lakes plus Gold Rush, essentially that is what it is. It's more Golden Pit, because you see the gold is on the cracked terrain at the bottom of the pit. But it's a combination of the two maps. Where the early game, you're concentrating on contesting the ponds and trying to wall up, and then it changes and you're full on contesting the golds, because you don't really want to switch into trade when you have this much gold available to be mined. Shit, he's going to lose a couple of his Trebs, and we do actually see him going for Paladin right now. He's only got 25 units on the field. Still a very large army deficit, but a lot of the army is really not that strong, and we're seeing Light Cav from Hot Soup, which is really not that useful. Light Cav against soon-to-be Paladin. We're going to have Arbs in not too long from Mr. Arcast, who's also got himself a fairly solid position here, the castle at the top of the hill. And poor Geary trying to defend his Trebs. He's only got a handful of crossbows still. Honestly, just imping into Helbs might have been a better use for his eco. Start transitioning into the fish traps instead of trying to go for crossbows. Get Helbs to fight off the big scary Shed. We do see on the other side that Red is starting to push forward, but they are Viking Arbs. They're missing Thumbring, so they're not as accurate or rapid fire as some of their contemporaries. But we do see the score flinging back and forth, and it looks like Rayzor's team is starting to get in the ascendancy, but I don't think that they should be winning this game. I think Shed, once he's committed to Paladin, he just needs to try to avoid fighting until he gets the Paladin upgrade. Because it is a very long tech, and it's a very expensive tech, but then once he has it, it definitely, you know, doubles the value of his units. And we now see he's got 2 castles in the middle, securing a very large amount of the gold. Red's starting to push forwards, but I think as soon as Shed has 30 or so Paladin, he should be able to just roll through these Arbs. Yeah, we've only got the 6+4, so we don't have the new unique tech for the Vikings, where they get +1 attack on their Arbs just yet. And we see Orange starting to push back a little bit off this hill. He's going to be able to snipe this Trebuchet if he's paying attention, but no, Grey is there to defend it. Over on the other side, Red is just madly walling in this Trebuchet. Unfortunately, one of the Paladins does get in. But Rayzor is just full-on castle spam. Purple is also full-on castle spam, but only with Light Cav instead of Knights. And they have actually significantly lost the eco lead that they had earlier in the game. But they do still have a very, very large amount of units. Hadn't Shed carry this by himself. I think Grey needs to stop, you know, messing around up this side and bring his crossbows over here to help Shed in the middle. Frederick, nowhere near going in for some reason. I'm not really sure what's going on. He's got 5 TCs? Why does he have 5 TCs? You don't need 5 TCs, Mayans. You've already got 120 villas, that's far too many. Mayans, you sort of like stop making villas at 80 or 90. But now we do see everybody up on the way to imp for Shed's team. I feel like they're still in a solid position. I think they just need to pause for a little bit. Ideally, wait for one of these two players to get to imp and start producing more meaningful army. Oh, this castle is just going to get instantly trapped down from Geary. Geary's not in a great position. I think as soon as this is cleaned up, Grey is able to swing over to the other side of the map. Oh, but this is a shit ton of knights from Rayzor. Holy balls. The Pole's Night Flood is... Well, it's flooding. There are a ton of knights down here in the parched desert cracked terrain at the bottom of the hill. We've got a ping back here. I'm not sure what that's for. And we're seeing blue switching into elves. I guess that makes sense because you're worried about the Pole Night Flood, but there is still a solid number of arbs here from red that are going to just absolutely shrek through any helbs that they come across. I guess he doesn't have access to any golds, so he can't really do anything else except for trash. So going for pikemen makes quite a bit of sense in that case. And we see that now that we have the big ball of arbs versus Castle Age Knights, they're going to start to deal just an insane amount of damage and allow the tankiness of Shed's Paladin to start to reign supreme. We do see purple and yellow both on the way up to Imperial Age, but it's coming at a cost of army production. And all of a sudden, their 60 unit lead is almost negated entirely, and they're being completely pushed back from the middle of the map right now. I think ideally... Are there enough arbs? No. I was going to say it would be nice to try to walk up to these trebs and snipe them, but red does still have significant numbers of arbs right now. We do see a lot of trebuchets though. We need to back up with those, try to keep them alive. And just gold-wise, Rayzor's team, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 golds that are kind of in their control. Unfortunately, orange doesn't really have access to any, whereas there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 that Shed's team should be able to quite comfortably take. And we see Cavalier coming in as well, so we're going to have double Imperial Age Cav from both of the pockets very, very soon. Purple, is he going to commit to the Hussars, is the question. Okay, and it looks like Rayzor is also going to switch into Light Cav himself. He's going to go for the Polish Winged Hussars with splash damage, trample damage, which is very, very powerful tech, I will say. But Hussars lacking the final armor upgrade are going to be very, very weak against the big, massive arbs. So as long as Grey is able to protect 50 or 60 arbs and not throw them away in a really bad fight, they should be in a solid position. And now we see Shed is starting to go for some raids with his Paladin, starting to deny the golds up here. Purple is going for Helbs, it looks like. But Blue, just in time, coming in with his own Helbs. Helbs versus Light Cav and Knights. And Green's getting Cavalier. How far away is he even getting Paladin? He's not especially close, but he could just cancel some Knights and wait a little bit and get Paladin. He wouldn't be in too bad of a position if he did that, I think, because Shed is doing all of the hard work right now. He's buying time for Broad. He should be going for Paladin, I think. And we've got Purple Cavalier and Purple Helbs. Okay, so he's going for both units at this point, because he doesn't have enough gold income for pure Cav. I guess that makes a lot of sense. It looks like Frederick Chopin is going to switch into some Siege Rams to support his Helbs to help take down some buildings. We do see the Arbs pushing forwards once again. Shed is just sort of babysitting the Trebs over on the left-hand side, because if they can take down these two castles and deny Purple's gold access, then all of a sudden there's no more Cav to worry about. There's only the Winged Hussars from Rayzor. That's the only scary unit on the field at the moment. But I think if these units patrol forwards, and if Grey comes over to support them with the Arbs, because like a lot of this army is just sitting here babysitting Shreds instead of taking the fight against the enemy armies right now. Because all of a sudden Shed now has a 100 vil lead and a 50-60 army lead as well. And it looks like this game is going Shed's way. It was not what I was expecting during the first 20 minutes of this game. Shed has played an absolute bloody blinder here, dragging his team by the collar into this winning position. We see the Trebs working away on the castle on the left-hand side, denying more and more of the gold. They're down to just 4 accessible piles of gold, while Shed's team has just endless gold to be taking. We're seeing Eagle Warrior being teched. We're seeing Paladin for Green. Green has a huge, massive Cavalier. He's got 54 Cav. As soon as he gets Paladin, they're just going to roll forwards and clean up these Arbalists from Vamir. Damir does now have the unique tech for Vikings, though. That has just come in for +1 attack. I can't remember how to pronounce it or what the word is. But it is a pretty nifty tech, giving them an extra attack. And we're seeing Hussar coming in for Hot Soup. He's just going full on trash. Helbs plus Hussars, which is not going to do it against Paladins plus Arbs plus Helbs. How many relics on Lith? I believe he only has a single one. He doesn't have a single relic yet. He's almost got a relic. Oh. Very nice timing. Lithuanians now has a single relic. Because the other 2 relics are here in the middle of the map, and then obviously in the rest of the corners, which Shed's team does not have access to, are 3 more relics. And by the time he's able to get these 2 relics, I think the game will be over, because Rayzor's team will be completely denied out of the middle at that point. Green's Paladin only a minute away. Very, very soon we're just going to see massive amounts of Frankish Paladin with all that extra HP rolling in and just cleaning up is what we're going to see. He's going to have 90 plus Paladin soon, it seems. Or maybe 80. 80 Paladins. We're seeing the Helm starting to push back a little bit. They just need to keep body blocking for Grey's Arbs, and then they'll be doing a brilliant job against the Cavalier from the Poles that lack the last armor upgrade, and of course, the very, very weak Hunnic Halberdiers that also lack the last armor upgrade. And here we see just a huge fight coming in. Massive army advantage for Team Shed. Trebuchets are going down. They just need to clean up Red's army. Red is the only real player that has a scary army at this stage, and once those Arbs are dead, I think this game is 100% over. Well, it's been over for a little while, but this will be the death blow where they recognize, okay, we're also seeing Eldorado coming in. Blue is preparing the full switch into Eagles. I'm not sure if he has a lead Eagle yet. No, he does have a lead Eagle. Oh, yeah, but just look at that. you got triple the army out on the field and 100 more vills, and the enemy team now has no access to gold anymore. Now is the time, I think, for Rayzor's team to call it. Let's quickly take a look at the ponds. We've got nice fish traps over on that side. Shed didn't bother with fish traps, he just transitioned into full farm eco. But yeah, at this stage we are just going to sit back. We're going to watch and we're going to wait for the GG to be called. And then we do see it. We see the GG coming in. 70 plus Paladin from Green. He had a really, really rough early game. I thought that the game should have been over when his dock was denied in Dark Age. But Shed, as the Lithuanians, just absolutely hard carried in Feudal Age. Just doing so much damage to Orange and Purple, and even getting into Rayzor's base, attacking all the players. Absolutely insane game. Shed. What a bloody carry. Now we're gonna check out, and we're gonna take a look at the civs and see how many of them we got correct. Lithuanians. Persians was no. It was Mayans instead. We need to keep a track of how many I got wrong for the predictions. Let me just quickly open up a text document. Notepad. And we'll write down how many I've got wrong. So far, that's 2. They had Japanese, so that was correct. They did not have Byzantines. What was the other flank? They had Mayans, and they had... Oh yeah, Mayans, Japanese, Lithuanians, and they also had Franks. So I got 2 of those civs correct, which means I've got 4 wrong so far, because they'll be wrong on other maps. The other side, they had Dravidians. They had Huns. They did not have Italians. I was just missing a pocket civ for Golden Lakes, it seems. Yeah, Mayans and no Italians. Yeah. I've just figured I didn't actually have a pocket civ written down for them. Whoops. I guess I'll count that as a mistake as well. So we've got 8 wrong so far. Which one did I double up on? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I just didn't select... Oh, they had Vikings as well. So that's 9. 9 wrong of my predictions so far. Yeah, so the predictions are going to be not great. Oh boy. So that means we are going to go into Rayzor's home map next. We're going to be going into Frontline and see how this turns out. Yeah, I was considering Frank's as the other BF pocket so that they would have what's the word? Have a Paladin Civ. It was just, yeah, a very, very funky set of Civ picks at the end of the day. But to be fair, Shed's team, like, yeah, switching the Persians to the Franks. I guess Persians then have to go to BF, which would be with my current numbering, number 3. Let's just reassess. I guess they just switch over. That's fine. Burgundians, Qajaras, Berbers, and Byzantines. I guess that makes some sense. The other team, Vietnamese, Magyars, Romans, and Portuguese. The front line seems okay. Spanish. But where are you going to use Italians? Maybe Italians instead of Vietnamese? Hmm. Oh, we'll jump into game number 2. Jump into front line, and we'll see if Rayzor can pull it back, or if Shed is able to run away and get a lovely victory. For Shed's team, we've got Frederick Chopin on the front as the Byzantines, supported by Arcast as the Ethiopians. I guess having a good archer civ makes quite a bit of sense. Then we have Khmer from Broad, probably going to be playing for Scouts and Knights, and then finally Shed with the Berbers. The question is, does Shed play Fast Castle Camel Archers, or does he play for a boom play? I think Berber's late game is not overwhelmingly powerful, so he probably wants to be playing for Camel Archers. On the other side, Slate RS as the Romans on the front. We do see a bit of a laming shenanigans getting on already. Both players sending villas forwards and backwards. We do see 2 sheep being stolen. There's also 2 other sheep down here that could be stolen. The deer seem to be fairly safe for the time being. Trying really hard to lame the villager there. Also getting some hits in on the boar. Does manage to avoid the boar being stolen. Yeah, because it looks like one of the boars are back here. We'll continue going through Rayzor's team real quick. We then have Vamia playing as the Italians. Solid archer civ. Rayzor has the Saracens. Scouts into knights or camels, probably. And then Real Hot Supers and Magyars at the back. Maybe they just sort of go for a bit of a switcheroo. Rayzor plays Scouts into Boom, and Real Hot Soup does mini 3TT Boom into Night Flood. But in that case, why wouldn't you just be Poles? And use Magyars on Golden Lakes? What else are you going to play? Like Magyars Boom into Cav Archers? I guess I could just boom into Paladin, but that doesn't seem especially powerful. And Magyars don't really have a good eco bonus to support that. Oh, we do see Slate, though, getting up here, getting some laming in on the deer. Frederick does have both of his boars safely under the TC. He also has a deer here if he wanted to try to take it before it walks back and gets lamed by the villager. And we see just a ton of forward scouts right here. All 3 scouts from his team, except for Vamia's scout, which is going back and collecting some sheep and I guess about to push some deer. Frederick is once again trying to push this deer and get it under the TC. Hey Mike, how's it going? And now that the laming kerfuffle is all over and done with, the game is just going to slow down, and we're going to transition into Feudal Age. Now, Byzantines, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some trushing shenanigans. Romans, probably the same, to be honest. They could do man-at-arm trush if they wanted to, potentially. But on frontline, when you're this close to the enemy, trushing tends to be one of the most powerful things you can do at the front, because it's honestly one of the fastest strategies. Because you don't need to spend time building a barracks and then building an archery range or building a stable or anything like that. You hit feudal age, you're instantly dropping a tower in ideally a pretty dangerous and scary position. And also, because you tend to trush on a fairly low vil count, you don't need a massive amount of food under the TC, so you can somewhat get away with having a disrupted Dark Age to a limited extent. And we see over here, Slate, instead of pushing in his deer, he's just patrolling out the front, making sure that a villager doesn't come and lame his berries or then lame the deer. I'm not sure if that's the best solution in my mind. I think I would have pushed the deer in. And it looks like he might be going to go do that now. Yeah, there we are. That's what we want to see. And we also see that Vamir has forgotten to take his second boar, which is going to hurt his uptime a little bit. Or it means he's going to have a lot of food rotting under the TC. We see basically no sheep left over. So if Vamir tries to go for a baguette build, he's really going to struggle for the food income in early feudal age, keeping up build production, getting that nice early fletching. And we see a house going up. So it looks like we're not going up on less than 20 pop, it seems. But considering that you are the Italians, I would expect at a minimum you should be able to do 20 pop quite comfortably. Okay, we see the loom coming in right there. Over on the other side, though, for Team Shed, we do have both of the middle players, the two pockets as it were, on the way up to feudal age. We have a mining camp, of course, for the Ethiopians. Going to play for archers. I would guess that the buildings are going to be built, yeah, around this side to secure the berries. Teal, probably going to go for scouts. Oh, there's two sheep over here that haven't been found. Yeah, scouts, as I said. Probably barracks and stable over here, maybe. And then Shed is just going for some nice safety walls at the back of his base, making sure that he can't be attacked by any sneaky scouts or archers that come around the sides. And actually we see Broad also going for the same walls. So they're going to essentially have a giant penis walled out around the sides of their TCs by the end of feudal age. Because presumably Green and Teal will somehow wall down this way as well. Yes, King Boo, exactly. I'm glad somebody noticed the joke and thought it was funny. Oh, there has actually been a little bit of a lame. There's two dead deer back here. Oh, okay, there we are. Frederick Chopin, what are you doing with this villager? Where are you going? My man. And oh, I just realized that the pocket's up really fast. You're doing scouts from deep pocket? I don't know if I like that. It's it's quite a long trot for your scouts to get to the front line from back here. I would expect if you're going to do that, I'd try to come forwards and build the barracks in the stable a little bit closer to the front line, just so that your faster reaction times more able to be useful for the team. We're actually seeing the archery ranges over here from Green. I think I would have preferred it ever so slightly to be in front of the berries, but this is not the end of the world. I guess it's a little bit closer to the action. Chopin is no Trace. I mean, nobody is like Trace. Trace is unique. He's one of a kind. Is this villager just going to hide back here until, you know, Castle Age or something? We do see Man-at-Arms, though. Man-at-Arms Trush seems to be the play now for Frederick. Getting a tower up here, though, denying the berries, is going to be absolutely ginormous, though. Absolutely going to cut out any sort of reasonable castle time from the Romans. I'm not sure if that's the best position, though. Because your villagers can't get to the other side of the tower. You can't easily defend it with your army from the other side. I probably would have built it touching the barracks, to be honest. Get a little bit closer to the wood line as well. Like, Red could just go for a counter tower, to be honest. Although, I guess there are the three green archers. Where are Vamir's archers? Oh, Vamir does not have any archers. KD, you've lost your first two archers, it seems. And then there's no more here to help out. And we see here, getting the walls up as well around the base of the tower. Unfortunately, that house could be deleted at almost any point if they wanted to try to rush it down. And we see here that Vamir's idle TC time is just going to start racking up because there's no food under his TC, and he also does not have a mill. And we see the blacksmith being built. How much food does he have in the bank? He's got 300 food. Why is he not making bills? Okay, now he's making builds again. Huh. But Arcast, the archer numbers right here. Look at this micro. He's picking off villagers and army everywhere. He's got the fletching. He's got the Ethiopian attack bonus as well. Kill off Yellow's archers before they get upgraded as well. Sick moves. Hot Soup is doing everything possible to try to delay this as much as possible, but Red's going to lose some more villagers here. There's more archers being picked off as they come out of the archery ranges. And we see that Rayzor is just going for an FC from the not at the back position. Okay, we do see that Blue's villager was trying to wall in this gold, but why would you FC from that position? That doesn't make any sense to me. Why? You're just forcing the deep pocket scout player to have to just travel a further distance and be less able to react to what's going on at the front lines. I honestly think that that's a pretty significant misplay from Rayzor. Poor team strategy. Okay, we see that Shed's only on gold, not mining any stone right now. Unless he's mining stone forward somewhere. There is a villager going forwards. Okay, he's got a forward stable. So it seems like the play is FC, boom a little bit, and then use the Berber cheaper knights and camels to make some early army and help secure the forward position for the rest of your team. Oh boy, Rayzor. This is a... Oh, you're not... you're having a rough time, my friend. The TC will go up eventually as soon as the rest of the team is here to help him out, but he's going to potentially lose a villager or two. At a minimum, going to have some idle time. There's not that many archers from green, so it is quite difficult to kill villagers. If Rayzor's on point, he can keep pulling away the injured ones before they get killed. But it is just being a bit of a distraction and a harassment. Pain in the ass. We see that Hot Soup is going for a second stable. Over here, Frederick Chopin is just being an absolute pain in the ass, just blocking marker positions for later in the game. While that's going on, we see that Red and Blue are both trying to get stone walls up on the top side to at least secure some part of the base for later in the game. And then, yeah, finally, the early army from Arcast and Brod is being cleaned up. But honestly, I think they've done a reasonable amount of damage. The question is going to be, Shed is committing to double stables instead of booming. Is he going to be able to deal enough damage to overcome the instant 3TCs from Rayzor? And we see that Blue and Red are also trying to go for the stone walls on both sides. If both of these stone walls go up, then teams are going to have a bit of an issue. I love this. They're walling on opposite sides of each other. Oh, this is so funny. But yeah, like, Shed's Knights are just going to come in here and pick off a couple of Red's villas for absolute free right here. I'd honestly prefer this if these were stone walls instead of palisades, but he's probably saving his stone to get these team walls up, which is slightly more important than laming markets that won't be relevant for 20 or 30 minutes. But it is funny. I guess it also lames TT positions to some degree. It is funny. And I guess this tower is actually helping deny any really strong walls, right? Fred can just quite happily wall behind this stone, and then he's nice and happy, whereas Red has to do this really weird wall to get around this. And as I did say earlier, denying the berries really hampers the castle age time that Slate wants to have. A decent number of archers, sorry. But how many knights does Shed have? Does he have +2? He's only got +1 armor right now. He's starting to add TCs now. He wants to get some sort of a boom going. But yeah, as soon as Green's army gets here, I think Red's walls are going to be denied once again. And the Vill lead has actually shortened. It was 10 Vills earlier, now it's only down to 7. I'm not sure if Shed's... Oh, okay, yeah, to lean the wall to let the archers in, that's a sick move, I like that. Mark it as part of the wall over there, I do like that indeed. Oh, the villager is still there, just wandering around a little bit, it seems. But we see a bunch of players on the way up to Castle Age, everyone except for Fred, and Fred's even not that far away, so Shed's team is well ahead in terms of the Castle Age race. This villager, though, has been left alive to continue the walls. But now we see army coming in. We've got knights and archers. And Yellow's getting close to clicking up. I guess this is going to be a nice little hole to hide in, to try to dodge away from the knights. Maybe he's not even actually trying to really micro this. But yeah, you just can't afford to take the fight with those knights nearby. Getting underneath the TC is definitely the right move. It does have the secondary gold income, so that's not the end of the world. Rayzor still on the 3 TCs. Got a monastery. I guess he wants to try to pick up some of these relics. Get that extra gold income rolling. See, the wall's almost finished for Mr. Frederick. He just needs to finish off a couple of pieces there, and then he's going to be all walled. Those are only houses, though. There might be a problem later in the game. But for the time being, it's absolutely fine. Oh, defensive monks instead to convert the knights. Definitely a good idea. Rayzor is every team game player on the ranked ladder. I mean, I think it's a perfectly viable way to play the game on frontline, but you should be the deep pocket instead of one of the middle players. The middle players are in the best position to be useful with army. Like, just, I keep saying this, I keep harping on about it, but the long travel distance for any of Hot Soup's army just really makes it hard for him to be useful. You love King Boom, he is so handsome? I don't know about that. He's, an acquired taste, I would say. Where did the villager go? Fred. Oh, Fred's just wandering away. Oh, I wanted to continue to see the hodgepodge of random walls blocking in the markets. I want to keep an eye on that villain. I want to see what happens to him. Castle does now go up for Rayzor. Is he going to make Castle Age Mamelukes? He is. 3 TCs into Mamelukes, whereas Shed has instead gone for a couple of knights into 3 TCs. He is 20 villas behind, but he's killed 4 villagers and been somewhat useful in the escapades of Arcast crossbows. Didn't wall in the relic as well. True. True. Oh, the villager has been found out. Oh, unfortunate. Oh, can he get the quick walls? It does not look like it. The Roman spears do take him down. He would have been much safer hiding in the corner. Let's just select all Idleville hotkey. Nah, potentially. Potentially. We do see a ton of villagers on stone, though. Fred potentially going to go for a castle drop somewhere. He could always just delete his walls and try to build it here. I don't think there's enough space for that, though. Also, Fred is Byzantine. He could potentially go for a castle drop into a fast in for Trebs to support the army that the rest of the team is making. We see Rayzor adding in mangonels and monks to defend his boom. Once again, just spending extra resources on stuff that's not booming, which is not necessarily the ideal situation that he wants to be in. Yellow does have a ton of crossbows coming over this way on the map, though. We've got knights from 2 players, plus green's crossbows, while Fred, yeah, there's a castle. I don't know if this position really does much. It's as cute as this gold, I guess. I'm not sure why the uni is being built. And he's also got a second TC, so it's not a straight fast imp, it seems. Got very confused. Was watching this game on Twitch a couple hours ago, then got distracted, came back, and it's the same moment in the same game. I don't know about that. Unless somebody else was casting it earlier. There was a different frontline game that we covered. With, a very, very different plays, I think. He values the education. I mean, I guess. He's doing a little bit of buying and selling. Maybe he wants to get a 3rd TC somewhere? That would be a good idea, I think. I think Green's the first player to expand out to one of the edges with a TC. Something that I do like to see, because the wood lines in the middle of the map are quite patchy, to say the least. And then considering the lovely walls that Frederick has set up for the team. Oh, maybe he built the uni to get fortified wall. I was watching Arcast reviewing... Ah, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, sorry for the spoilers, but I'm mostly casting this just so that we have a record on YouTube. I think the uni has to be for fortified wall. I don't really see any other reason to build it at this stage of the game. I guess this uni does potentially break a wall to let their army sneak back out. But it does seem like we're going to be seeing players just sort of transition on the way up to Imperial Age. Shed, just about to click up. Teal is not far away from him. He's got a ton of food, but no gold. I don't think he should go imp, though. He should just, yeah, commit to getting more TCs, get more eco rolling. And then Rayzor's not too far away, but the rest of his team, very, very low vill counts. He's the only one that's dragging them up. But to be honest, it's the same issue on the other side, where Shed's the only one that has a healthy vill count, and he's just dragging up the rest of the team. But here comes a raid into Slate's base. The man just keeps on taking hits. And even Vamir is potentially going to lose some villages on this gold from these crossbows as they wander past. Will Rayzor get the mangonel shot off is the question. The player at the front gets pummeled, and then angrily blames his teammates. I mean, yeah, that's just how a game goes. P1 and 2 are laming and trushing and being pains in the ass. Like, we see that Fred built a bunch of walls back here to deny TCs and deny markets later in the game. We see the crossbow rolling forward from Rayzor, but I think that the big army from Vamir here should be enough to clean this up. We see Rayzor coming forward for a castle, so he looks like he's just going to commit to the Mamelukes. Not a bad idea. Wandering onto the TC, not ideal. Mangonel starting to come forwards. But yeah, the front players, as I said, they go for their laming and their trushing, and then they transition into trying to get these walls up, if possible, to defend the team. And then they'll transition to a boom. And here we do see a fortified wall coming in from Frederick, doing the lovely, lovely team thing right there. I see Knights are continuing to get some kills on either side. And actually, Green managed to escape with most of his crossbows alive. Really good job by Arcas, to be honest. Unfortunately, though, it is out of range of the castle, so Vamir can potentially snipe them all down as they're waiting for this gate to be finished. Honestly, I think Arcas should be yelling, just delete the gate, let me go through, and then rebuild it later. Vamir is trying to do some sneaky micro tricks. But should end up... cleans most of the crossbows. Doesn't end up walking to the castle fire. And we see double castles being built over here from Shed. So we're going to see Camel Archers versus Mamelukes. And we'll also see Petards being created. Which castle is that in? This castle here. You're going to need to make 2, 3... Do you need 4 Petards to kill a Byzantine fortified wall? Because I know you need 3 for a normal fortified wall. I guess the extra HP the Byzantines have makes 4 sound reasonable. The extra damage that the Mamelukes are doing is really not that significant. I think it would be incredibly funny if he accidentally mangonelled his own Petard as it goes to, like, just before it explodes on the wall. Nope. Next one? Nope. Wait, oh, so just 3 Petards and then a little bit of extra damage would have been perfectly fine, it seems. Eco-wise, we're essentially equalized. Both have got the same number. There is a significant army lead for Team Rayzor at the moment. But we do have 3 players, Imp or on the way up to Imp, versus just the single one for Rayzor's team. Who is close? None of Rayzor's teammates are anywhere near going to Imp, which is an issue. And I guess Shed's army, well, soon-to-be army of Camel Archers will be heading over to the side really fast. I don't think that Frederick is going to be able to rush these walls up fast enough. Even if he does quick tap them a little bit, the Mamelukes are just going to kill the vills pretty quickly and find a hole somewhere that he can go through. Like, this is just incredibly open. But he's not rushing it, to be honest. He's not. He's just taking his time. They can always just kill this gate if they need to. And now, where are Shed's Camel Archers? They're coming across the map. He's got a lead. He doesn't have Bracer. He's got Bracer and Chemistry coming in right now. And we're actually seeing quite heavy Knight production coming in from the orange player. He does have 4, soon-to-be 5 TCs at home. And he's on the way up to Imp. Okay, that's why. Anyone else hear about Jordan quitting full-time AoE? Yeah, he did that a couple of months ago. He's got a new job organized, so he's going to keep streaming, you know, for fun as a hobby on the weekends and whatnot, and participating in tournaments, but he's not going to be streaming, you know, 40 hours a week anymore. Yeah, he can't make enough money as a top player, but a 10xx woman can stream and make full-time content. I mean, if I'm being honest, Jordan's content wasn't that original. Why would you watch Jordan instead of watching Viper or Hera? And his YouTube content was just rips from his stream, which is also very unoriginal. So, people tend to support the content that they want to watch. You know? You shouldn't be complaining that someone else is making better content than you. You should try to make better content yourself. Does Jordan have to make it a meme for you people to watch his content? I mean, I watched his stream sometimes because he was the only one that streamed at an Australian time zone. But the best way to get viewers is to have interesting content. It doesn't have to be a meme, but it needs to be something that's different and people want to watch. I mean, if he wants to be a streamer, yes, he needs to focus on content. That is what streaming is. It is creating content that people enjoy watching. If he wants to only make full-time content, or if he only wants to make a full-time living from participating in tournaments, then he's in the wrong game. Because Age of Empires just doesn't have enough funding and enough professional teams for that to make sense. Age of Empires would need to 10x in size for people to make a full-time living just playing this game. Or at least more people than just Viper and Hera be able to do that. Or be a woman with a large chest. If you think that women have it easy in an online space full of degenerate idiots, then you don't know what you're talking about. Women def have it easy. You're a fucking idiot, man. You can just fuck right off. Sorry about everybody else in the YouTube video. That's going to be a bit random. But some absolute clown in the chat is being an idiot, and he is now gone. This game, Jed's team is in an absolutely brilliant position, let's be honest. Camel Archers, big mass of them, really, really strong unit. And Rayzor going for Mamelukes isn't really the best option, I think, against ranged cavalry archers like that. Editor, cut that out. Shit, you're telling me that I have to go cut that out? That means I have to do more work. But it feels like just Rayzor's unit comp is not what is needed right here. Mamelukes are strong in the correct circumstances. I guess he's adding in onagers, which is a decent idea, but look at that, like he gets one shot off and then they just get flattened. He needs to get SO. The problem is that the eco needed for SO on a map like this where there's not a lot of gold is not exactly easy. And then, like, we see the smart thing is being done here by Brod. He's spending his gold on trade cards and instead just making hussars to preserve that gold income until he's able to switch into Cavalier or Elephants. I think the real thing that Shed's team is lacking right now is any sort of heavy siege, right? There's some trebuchets down on this side of the map, but all their army is pushing on the north side, and there's no trebs, there's no siege ram, there's no bombard cannons, there's nothing up here to help out. See Casper coming in, which will help all the rest of the team start to make their own trebs. How do you handle trade here in the long term? You just start by short trading, and then somebody comes and cuts out the trade later. Now, I think this is a good idea where you have essentially the dead front player do the cutting, because there's not really a lot of other things they need to worry about at this point in time. And then eventually you get to your normal full-length trade later in the game. Where did those camel archers go? Where did all the shit's camel archers go? Oh, we see not cav archers. We see hussars going for raids. We see more hussars going for raids on this side. More hussars being massed. Okay, all the camel archers are just regrouping here in the middle of the map, it seems. They just need to get these trebuchets forwards and start taking down the castles. But it does seem like we're waiting for the game to be over. Cutting here is not that bad as Amazon Tunnel. It's so much harder to do it here than Amazon Tunnel. Well, at least when I play Amazon Tunnel with my friends, we play it on Explored. So it's a lot easier to cut Amazon Tunnel because you just shift click all the way to the end and back, right? Whereas here you have to do it a little bit at a time and then keep microing them forwards every couple of seconds. Whereas if I'm cutting on Amazon Tunnel, I will just fully shift queue all the way to the end and back, and then I've got a full length trade line. And it takes me, you know, 30, 40, maybe a minute to set up all that shift queuing, but then I can just leave it and let it go. Yeah, and Amazon Tunnel, most of the time, you just do one side, and then there's like 5 or 6 trees on the other one that you can just chop down with lumber camps. But we see that the raids through the middle are just absolutely destroying. Brod's Eco KD, look at this, he's almost going to hit 100 to 0 KD. And we see the big ball of Camel Archers continuing to push on this bottom side. I think they should regroup in the middle, group up with the Trebs and the Siege Rams that are starting to come forwards. And I love this idea from Frederick. The rest of the team's making most of the army. You just need to make the siege so that you can kill the buildings. Yeah, ranked tunnel is definitely different because it's not explored. There you have to, you know, build outposts and shit so that you can see far enough to start shift queuing. Like, yeah, it takes such a long time to do it, is the real issue. But yeah, you're better off just short trading in in the meantime so that you have some amount of gold income, and then you obviously have the trade cards all ready to go later in the game. Once you do finish chopping it out. Well, we do see SO now from Rayzor, but now he's also having to tech into Lightcap. He has to tech into too many things right now, and there's just not enough support being provided by the rest of his team. They're not that far behind in builds, but just the 2-to-1 army size at this point. We also don't have Paladins or Hussar from the orange player. He's making Cavaliers and Lightcap, which are just not a good enough unit compared to the Imperial Age Halbs and Hussars and Camel Archers and Arbs that are out on the fields. Yeah, Shed's team has played this pretty well, to be honest. I was a little unsure on the early night play from Shed, but they managed to secure a ton of map control. They killed a ton of villagers with that early army boost. Not specifically on Rayzor, but especially on the front two players. They killed a ton of villas, and they gave a very, very nice advantage to the rest of the team. At a cost of 20 villas to himself. But I guess as the Berbers, you don't really need an absolutely ginormous army, because you're hoping to keep your Camel Archers alive for as long as possible. And then, obviously, if your units aren't dying, you don't need to replace them as much, so you don't need as much eco, and you can concentrate on having a really large trade number, like we see. And because this is the deciding game of this set, well, for Rayzor's team at least, they're not going to instantly resign. They're going to do everything they can to try to stay alive. But yeah, you got a 6-to-1 army lead. I don't think that there's any sort of comeback at this stage of the game. Focusing on cutting right now when you haven't stabilized the game is insane. Imp with 130 bills in no army. That's true. Yeah, it's definitely not going to win you the game most of the time if you cut a little bit faster. But I guess what would he have switched into? I guess Roman Helms is probably good enough. It would have helped try to stifle the Hussar raids that Brod is constantly going for. By the way, he's almost at 200 to 0 KD. What is the eco that Red has? He's got a ton of wood. Basically no food, because all of his farmers are being killed, it seems. Anything would be preferable to nothing? That's true. It seems like he's just making trade and then potentially slinging somebody. Do I have slings turned on? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I've got no idea what he's doing. Like, you would think at this stage of the game you would start to make some army. But nope. Oh, he's starting to cut on the side. I think he was probably told that you need to cut it at some point, and then he hasn't adapted to the changing game state. Yeah, this push through the middle is just absolutely unstoppable. There's just so much army out on the fields. And honestly, like, even at the end of the game, we're probably going to see that both teams have about the same amount of gold income generated from trade. Because even though they are short trading, they've got more trade carts. They're able to afford more gold to spend on trade carts because they're losing less of their army. They're constantly taking good fights. And yeah, we're just sitting here and we're waiting. You're very biased towards Halberdiers. I love them. I mean, I think it's definitely the logical inclusion. Because obviously, Italians, they don't get Halbs. Saracens don't get Halbs. Magyars get really bad Halbs. Romans are the only civ on the team that can actually make fully upgraded Halbs, essentially. And they're actually, like, more than fully upgraded because they're Romans. And they would have been so useful against the constant Hussar raids. For sure. Obviously not that great against the Camel Archers and the Arbs, but they would have had a use at some point. A Blood Boom against those Camel Archers and it could have swung. Well, it's also the problem is the Camel Archers have so much HP and they have regen. Right? So unless you've got like 5 or 6 SO, and they like fully saturate all of their hits over the entire group, you're only going to kill 10 or 15 of them. So it's very, very hard to do that. They match full upgrades. They're actually better, right? Because they get 1 extra melee armor than normal. We do see the 2-0 there. Let's go take a look at the whoops. The eco. Let's see the gold from trade. Right, see, Shed's trade still has more trade even though it's been short trading the whole time. Because they've just made more of it.